When European car manufacturers add L to the nomenclature of a car, it generally means long or limousine or luxury. Now, don't get too caught up in the word limousine, because from a North American perspective, it's a whole different kettle of fish. If you pull up in a limousine of just about any type that's available in North America, you look like a dick. Just imagine the guy sitting in the driver's seat, what he feels like when he gets out of it. In a European sedan, it just generally means they've taken an excellent sedan and added some room here and then appointed it as if it was going to be a limousine. But they haven't forgotten about the driver, because let's face it, most North American buyers of a car like this are going to drive the thing and drive it almost every day. But it's nice to know that you can get in the back seat and ride there too. It starts with the closing of the door. I mean, everything about this car just exudes quality. You look around the cockpit, all of this leather is hand-stitched, even on the dash, and in some unique areas on the dash that you don't normally see at the base of the windshield, just for the idea of finishing it off to make this a more pleasant environment. But is it meant to be more pleasant for you or your chauffeur? Well, you have to ask yourself that question. Let's just check out what either of you are going to get. Now, this dashboard is unique. It's a virtual dashboard. In other words, it's a display. So it's very, very versatile. It can be switched. Even when you switch over to sport mode, it changes color from blue to red. So it's got all sorts of capability, but what it does is command a conventional layout where you've got, unfortunately, the speedometer in the middle and the tachometer just off to the side. That's exactly backwards. But after all, this isn't meant to be a performance car. It's just meant to have performance capabilities. Now, this Jaguar is definitely on par with Aston Martin, and certainly with the big sedans from the Germans. In fact, when you compare it price to price, this is probably the best value in the luxury car business. But then again, why do you have the value? Is it for you or for your chauffeur? Well, let's face it, if you have a chauffeur in one of these things, chances are you're in the NBA. And there's accoutrements in the back of this car, as if you are in the NBA, that will come in very handy for you. For example, fold-down tables. And there's heated seats back there as well. There's 4-position air conditioning so that the NBA player can set himself up for chill. You press a button up here and the rear shade goes up. And of course, there are rear shades for both glass, for the privacy that that important client needs. And of course, there's a canvas cover that goes over this expansive sunroof. We kid around about using one of these things as a limousine in North America, but the fact is, I dare say, they're used as limousines quite often, especially in the UK, and occasionally around the continent when a Brit is behind the chauffeur's seat. Rolling around an expensive neighborhood in a car like this is kind of cool because you're inconspicuous. But when you get it out onto the more open road, that's when you begin to use what this car actually has. Now, it does weigh slightly over 2 tons, so it's never going to be an athlete, but it does bring 475 horsepower to bear with about 450 foot-pounds of torque. And that noise, that signature noise that this 5-liter V8 Jaguar engine makes is absolutely beautiful, and there's nothing like a blower. You can hear that very, very faint blower sound. I love the fact that Jaguar didn't eliminate it completely, because if you're driving around with the blower, you want to hear that you're driving around with a blower. So you've got yourself quite a large car here. But as long as you're not trying to parallel park it wherever you go and just park it in normal parking spots, you're not going to have a problem. We haven't had any problem with it for the last 3 days. Well, if you know me, you know I don't really give a damn about sound systems. Mostly I listen to CBC, whether it's on Sirius or whether it's on FM radio up here in Canada. Well, this one has a Bowers & Wilkins sound system. I've never heard of Bowers & Wilkins. These are obviously guys who listen to their music from vinyl and poo-poo the MP3 because the band isn't broad enough, and they listen to stereophonic systems that cost untold fortunes. So listen to what the production guys have been listening to on this Bowers & Wilkins setup. Let's turn it up. Whoever Bowers and Wilkins are just crap their pants. Listen, the sound system is everything you'd want to have. Once you've driven it around for a while, you realize it really has nothing to do with the chauffeur and driver relationship. This is a driver's car. If you choose to be driven around in it, so be it, but your chauffeur is going to have probably the best ride of his life. So you have to ask yourself, do you need a car like this? No. Nope, definitely not. Nobody needs a car like this Jaguar. But do you want a car like this? Holy smoke. Just consider an iron fist in a velvet glove. Consider the very best of performance blended with luxury that really can't be topped. And you'll say to yourself, yeah, baby, I want a car just like this. When we come back, we'll revisit a drive that we took in the Jaguar XJL, which is very different, but also very similar to this car.